They're heavy. All right. Okay, let's talk about the 12 books that I read in October. So I actually did have a pretty good reading month in October. Like I said, I read 12 books. We have 1 DNF, 1 5-star, and I believe 7 of these books are audiobooks, which is kind of a lot, but that's to be expected with me lately. I've been going through audiobooks like candy. I listen to them 24/7 all the time. There's always like one playing in the background for me. Not in the background, but like always. I can't sit in silence anymore apparently. So we just always have audiobooks going. So let's talk about all the books. I'm going to go in order of how I read them just because that helps me in my brain. So I actually finished Legendary on October 1st. So this is the first book for October. Duh. And this is the second book in the Caraval trilogy. Unfortunately, I did not like this one as much as the first book, and I was looking at reviews and a lot of people like this one better than the first book. I just didn't, and I don't really know why. I think I just didn't care for the romance as much in this one. And the whole time we're trying to figure out who Legend is, and I just feel like when we were told who it was, like, yeah, it made sense, but I was like, ugh. I was a little disappointed and I don't really know why. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. Like, it was good and it was entertaining. It was really long. I feel like it was long. And maybe that's just because I didn't enjoy it as much. And then this book also has like put me off of finishing the series. I still have yet to pick up Finale and finish the Caraval trilogy. I don't know why. I just feel like I've gotten less interested in it. But I do want to finish it. That way I can move on to Once Upon a Broken Heart. That trilogy I've heard so many good things about. So I'll definitely read Finale soon. And just this book like put me off to it, and I don't know. But a lot of people really enjoyed this book, so I guess that's just a me problem. I don't know. I also just felt like the book was really slow. There just wasn't as much going on for me. But still pretty good, 3.5 stars. Then I listened to 9 Perfect Strangers, which this book, again, super long. Super long. I was very confused, very bored until about 50% because there's so many characters, like you're literally getting introduced to 9 people, and it was a little bit confusing, but I do think that like the way the author did it was the best way they could have done it to like introduce 9 people. Like she kind of slowly introduced them, and you would get like background on like 4 characters, and then she'll like introduce another set of characters like later on. So I do think that was like the best way it could have been done with literally 9 people. I just found myself like really only caring about certain people. I don't know. I just feel like there's so many people. I feel like we could have done like 5 Perfect Strangers. I don't know. There's a lot of people. And I thought it was going to go down a more sinister route. I wanted it to be darker. I wanted there to be murder or something. And it just wasn't as dark as I wanted it to be. I don't know what that says about me. So in this book, you're literally following 9 people who all are trying to like find... Oh, hello. All right. They're all trying to like find peace in their life or just like improve something about their lives. So they all go to like this retreat. They're all like kind of trying to do different things. Like there's a couple there for like couples counseling. There's someone who wants to just like stop drinking and kind of like redirect her life. Everyone's kind of there for their own personal reasons. What's happening at this retreat is kind of different than what has happened at past retreats, and it's kind of eerie, kind of weird, kind of dark, and you're like, is this normal? Also, I just think the ending was boring. I don't know. I just expected something way different, and maybe it's my fault for not doing research before going into the book, but it was just very, very slow, and I feel like it wasn't worth all of the reading or all the listening I did. Like, it was literally forever, and then the ending, I was like, oh. And there is a big theme of grief in this book, and I think that part was interesting, and like how we see one particular storyline end through the book or like progress through the book, and how we see her going like this. This one just fell flat for me. I ended up rating it 3 stars. Like, it was fine, especially near the like middle ending, especially near like 70%. Like, I started really being invested and wanting some crazy things to happen, but they just never did, like I said. Then I listened to The Perfect Marriage. This book would have been so good if I hadn't guessed the ending literally near the beginning. I just like feel like I have a little knack for guessing the plot twist now. Like, I've listened to so many thrillers, so many mysteries, that I'm just like immediately I'm suspicious of everything and everyone, and like I'm at one point I usually always guess what the ending's gonna be, and unfortunately this time I did. Like, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, I'm glad that I guessed it. Like, it's fun to guess it, but at the same time, like, oh, well, now I, like, know. It's not gonna be, like, a crazy twist, but it's still interesting to, like, hear it play out and, like, see how my guessed ending is, like, actually done, because I never guess it perfectly, you know what I mean? Like, I just have a vague guess, and then I, like, watch it play out, which is what happened in this case. But I still enjoyed the book. I ended up giving it 3 stars. The concept of this book is literally crazy. Okay, so stick with me. So we have a husband and a wife, Adam and Sarah Morgan. Adam is cheating on Sarah, and he has a mistress, and he literally cheats on her in their vacation home that they got for him to be writing in, because he's a writer, but he's a very struggling, unsuccessful author. And they got this house for him, whatever. You don't care about that. He's a writer, terrible one. And then we have Sarah Morgan, who is a lawyer, defense attorney, I believe, and she is a boss lady. She's killing it. She's, like, really well known and successful. And then Adam's mistress, the one he's cheating on his wife with, ends up murdered. And Adam is literally the #1 suspect, and he is arrested for her murder. And then guess who comes in to defend him and be his lawyer? His own wife. Isn't that crazy? Literally when I found that out, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm buckled in, and I'm ready to see how this all plays out. And it was very entertaining and interesting. I was never really bored. Like, I just really wanted to find out. But like I said, I guessed the twist. I didn't guess the whole twist, because now I'm remembering. I did not guess the entire thing. I mean, I never do. So that's fun to, like, see a little extra. Oh, I didn't see that one coming. And this was just crazy. Like, the drama in this one, it literally was like almost like a soap opera level drama, reality TV level drama. I was, like, sat listening to this audiobook, like, needing to know all the tea, all the information. It's crazy. Adam is he's so funny. Like, you literally see what he does and you're just like, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's all I can say, because I don't want to give spoilers. Yeah, it was really good. 3 stars. If I hadn't guessed the ending near the beginning-ish, I probably would have rated it higher, but still good even though I guessed it. So I definitely recommend that one. Then I listened to Emily Donovan. This is like a tongue twister. It's not Emily. Girl, it's Finley. Then I listened to Finley Donovan Knocks Him Dead, which is the 2nd book. I don't know what this is called. Oh, Finley Donovan series, I suppose. That's what it says on Goodreads. I enjoyed the 1st book so much, and unfortunately, like, the 2nd book, I just didn't really feel the same connection with, I guess. I just wasn't as interested. I was a little bit bored. I was like, well, whatever. Like, whatever happens, happens. It was still really good. I love the characters. I love Finley so much, and I love her nanny. Oh my god. I'm blanking. Oh my goodness. I need to know her name. I need to put respect on it, because she's awesome. Pharaoh's her name, finally. I love her. She's so funny. However, this book was just very, very slow to me. I don't know, the 1st book, like, there was so much happening, so much going on. I was so interested the whole time. This one, I just feel like there's one mystery and it's, like, dragged out. And I also listened to, I'll just go ahead and throw it in this review, the 3rd book, which is Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun. I rated both of these 3 stars. I just feel like, yeah, the mystery is so dragged out. And also the romance, it's been a back and forth thing for a while. I get it, but, like, finally, I will say in the 3rd book, you get a little bit more romance, which I really liked. I liked the ending of the 3rd book, but still was slow. I feel like I can't really say what it's about, because it, like, is a series. You really need to read the 1st book and understand what happens in the 1st book, because in the 2nd book is similar, but I will briefly talk about the 1st book so you can get a little refresher. In the 1st book, Finley Donovan is, like, describing the plot for her next, like, murder mystery book. She wants to, like, switch up her genre, and she's discussing the plot with her agent in, like, a public cafe, and someone overhears her, and she thinks that Finley is someone you can hire to murder people for you. And so she tries to hire Finley to murder her husband, and she offers Finley a lot of money. And while Finley's, like, kind of going back and forth on if she should do it or not, because she is a struggling single divorced mother, she kind of gets wrapped up in this murder, and a lot of stuff happens. And so with that in mind, like, there's a 2nd and 3rd book, and they kind of piggyback off of that. So in the 2nd book, like, the whole murder for hire thing comes into play, but then in the 3rd book, it's really just, like, one little mystery you're trying to figure out. based on the other books. I don't know. Are you guys following me? It's good. Like, I like listening to them, but they're nothing crazy. Like, I think they're fun. I think they're nice to listen to. They're kind of like cozy mysteries in a way because, like, I don't feel like they're high stakes. Like, I just feel like I know everyone's going to be like, fine. Quick read. I don't think they're anything crazy. So, we'll move on from those. Then I attempted to read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I still have my bookmark in it because I have yet to come back to it. I ended up DNFing this. I read some of it in my most recent video reading fall books or fall reading vlog. I'll put it up here. But I ended up DNFing it just because it's so slow and I just feel like I know what's going to happen and I don't care. I don't know if I'm just like a purely romance girly anymore because this is the first book I picked up recently that's just romance and I can't read it. I DNF'd it. I'm bored. I don't know. I feel like lately I just need like mysteries, thrillers, fantasy, something to keep my attention that's not just romance, but I love there to be romance in it, but I just don't care for just romance. Like, I'm bored. And this one is very similar to Gilmore Girls, the TV show. If you've seen that and you love it and you love cute, cozy, fluffy romances, you would love this. I just personally don't like them right now. I'm going through a little phase. Maybe you'll like it. If you want to hear more of my thoughts and like really what the book is about, you can watch that video, but it's basically Gilmore Girls in a book. Then I did the video where I listened to cozy audiobooks and did my little cozy crafts. So I'll briefly talk about those as well. I actually have the physical copy for 2 of them. So the first book I listened to is Bookshops in Bone Dust. I got this in like a Barnes & Noble blind date with a book and I finally have read it. I actually listened to the audiobook because I heard it's really good and cozy and perfect for the video I was filming and like the cozy fall vibes. And it was. I really liked it, surprisingly. I wasn't sure how... Oh, my battery's gonna die. Hold on, BRB. Okay, I'm back. Anyways, like I was saying, I did really enjoy it, surprisingly. I feel like I've never read a book like this. It's just a cozy, kind of... Oh, sorry, I just kicked the camera. Kind of a lower stakes fantasy, and it's like had ogres and all kinds of like different characters that I've never really read about, and I thought it was really cute and had a little bit of romance. I loved the bookish vibes in this book. So we are following half the book. I thought her name was Liv because I just can't hear apparently, but it is Viv, V-I-V. We're following Viv, who is a soldier, and she hurts her leg, and then her army kind of leaves her in like this small town they were passing through because they need to continue on, and she's hurt and can't participate. So she's staying there, and she's mad, she's angry, she's worried her leg's never gonna heal, she's never gonna get back to her roots and like fighting and like what she's always known. So she ends up in this small town. She meets people in the small town. She becomes friends with people, and she meets, I believe her name is Fern, but she meets the bookshop owners and some other business owners in the town, and Fern starts giving Viv books to read, and she kind of like suggests specific books for her and like watches her and see if she likes the books, and then gives her another book, and they become friends, and Viv actually ends up helping her with the bookstore. And there's just a lot with the bookstore that I thought was really fun. And there's also a cafe or a bakery, I don't remember, owner who is also very sweet and fun, and you get to know her as well. And there's a lot of bookish quotes, and I just thought it was very cozy, so I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. Then I listened to Emily Wilde's Map of Other Lands in that book. I actually do have the physical copy as well because I love these books. I loved the first one, so I already have this copy and the second book, the Barnes & Noble exclusive one. So gorgeous. Yes, I listened to this book. I love it. I love Emily Wilde's world, the world of it. I love her, and I love Wendell so much. If you watch that audiobook video, you'll know I don't shut up about Wendell. I love him. I think everything about these books are so fun and cute, and they're definitely more high stakes, but I like that. I enjoy it. And there's also mystery a little bit and romance, and I liked it. I do think this is like a good stepping stone book into the third one. You get to know a little bit more about Wendell in this book and like that kind of stuff. Can't say too much because I don't want to spoil the series, but I do feel like a lot of it is like, yeah, stepping stone. Like, we're gonna get a lot more in the third book, hopefully, so I'm excited for that. But I did really love it. These books are just so cozy, and like, you're reading Emily's journal entries, and there's just something about that makes them so whimsical and fun, and you're literally reading about fairies and other magical creatures, and it's just so, it's so cozy. I love them. Love them. I gave this one 4 stars. I just wish the romance was a little bit more in this book. I feel like we got a lot in the first book, all the tension, all of the banter, and then this one was a little bit not so fun for me. In the romance department, I just wanted a little bit more. So maybe in the third one we'll get a little bit more, but I do love it. I think you should read the Emily Wilde series if you haven't yet. I just think they're different, and like they are a lot of information. It's like information dump sometimes, but if that scares you, then maybe listen to the audiobook, because that's what I did for the second book. Yeah, the audiobooks help it go by a little bit faster, but you're still getting all the information, so definitely recommend these. Then I listened to A Pie to Die For. Oh my gosh, this book, guys, surprised me. It's a cozy mystery. I've never read like a specifically just a cozy mystery before. This one was an audiobook again. I loved it. I loved it like for what it was. I absolutely loved it. Like it wasn't anything crazy, but as my first like cozy audiobook, I think I just realized I really love cozy books, cozy audiobooks, because this was so cute. I especially love all the pie stuff, like her baking pies was so cozy to me. You're in this little cozy small town who gets a lot of visitors for like the Halloween tourist season, and we're following Esty, who is a little small town cafe owner. She bakes the pies for the cafe, and she has this thing called special pies where she can just tell when she's baking a pie if it's going to be special, and she'll sell the special pie. Everyone knows that there's always like 2 special pies, I think, sold a day, and you kind of like wait to see if you're the one that gets the special pie if like something really good happens to you. So that part I just thought was like kind of cute and cozy and a little mystical vibe. But then there is a murder in their little small cozy town, and Esty is actually suspected of being the murderer. She's like the number 1 suspect they have, because she was the last person to be seen with the man who died alive, and they were actually arguing, so everyone knows that like he was last seen there and they were arguing, so she's obviously a suspect. And she is not happy about that, because that's going to affect her business and her pies, and she is not going to let that happen. So she decides to kind of be a detective herself and start figuring out what happened, like who actually murdered this man. Also, there's like a murderer loose in their like small town. Like she doesn't want that either. So it's very cute, cozy. I didn't really care for like the mystery part of it as much. Like I was just kind of sitting back letting it unfold. I didn't care to think about it, care to figure it out. I was just like, whatever, like I just want to listen and like relax, and that's exactly what I did with this book. Like it's very low stakes, very chill, very just cozy, like you don't have to use your brain, and I really liked it. I loved the pie stuff. Warning, if you listen to this audiobook or read it, it will make you starving. Like I was craving pie. I was hungry every time I listened to the book, because she talks in detail about her pies and like her baking, and it's so relaxing. I don't know what it is, but it was so relaxing. I loved it. I gave it 3 stars just because it's nothing like crazy special. Like it's a cool book, but like the feeling I got while reading the book was way better than like the actual book, if that makes sense. Then I read Harry Potter. I finally did. I finally read the first Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. A little bit of a tongue twister. I loved this book. I didn't really expect to love it as much because I've seen all the movies, so I was scared that like since the twist was like spoiled for me already, like I already know what happens in this book, that it'd be boring for me. I don't think it was at all. I was entertained the whole time. I read it almost in like one sitting. I was so entertained. Actually, I did read it in one sitting, now that I remember. So entertained. I loved it. I love the Harry Potter world. I love getting more of like Hagrid and like Hermione and all of them. I love it. I really loved it, and I gave it 4 stars. Almost a 5-star, but I just didn't have that feeling. I feel like one of the books in the series will definitely be a 5-star, or just like the series as a whole will probably end up being a 5-star, because I love the movies and I'm sure I'll love the books. I feel like they're just gonna get better from here. The first book is like nostalgic in a way, like the first movie to me also, so I don't know, I'm glad I'm finally reading them. This is the only one in the series I've read so far. I know I need to get a move on. I need to continue reading the series, and I will soon. But I really love this book. I am filming a reading vlog, so look out for that. So that's all I'll say on it. But first one done. This book was almost a 5-star, literally so close. It's One Dark Window. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. It was so close. I don't really know what happened to me. I was loving it, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I don't know. I think it's the romance. I'll get into that. But I did read this book in my fall reading vlog. Again, the next like 3 books are all in that video. So if you want to see all my reactions and like more in-depth review, it's up there. But I will quickly explain it a little bit. So I always say we're following, and I need to stop saying that. This book is kind of hard to explain, to be honest. In this book, there are things called Providence cards. They're little magical cards that if you have one and like you tap it 3 times, you can like use the power in the card, and they're all different. Like there's like 12, I think, different cards, and they all have different powers you can have. They all have different powers that you can have, but the old king who used to rule over Blunder, the old king had to barter in order to get these magical cards from the lady from the mist, who, stick with me, it's confusing, who used to just give out magic to people that came to visit her. That's how people used to get magic. But now, since the king has bartered different things, very important things, now the people of London no longer have to venture into the woods and see the Lady of the Mist because they can just get magic a different way now. So then the lady is mad. No one's going to see her. So she makes the mist, which is like a thick fog where people like lose their minds in, and you can get infected from the mist, and like you'll slowly either degenerate and die, or you degenerate in a different way, like you don't know. And if you're infected, you get powers like separate from the cards. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of magic, a lot of dark, eerie vibes. It's very like gothic feeling. And the main character that we're reading about in this book is Elspeth, who was infected from the mist as a child. And usually the infected are killed off because they pose as a danger to their society because of the degeneration and the weird magical powers they get from the mist. However, Elspeth is spared by her father because he doesn't want to kill her or have someone else kill her. So she goes off to live with her aunt, and we actually don't really know what her power is until later in the book. But at the beginning of the book, you know that whenever she was young, she touched the Nightmare Providence card, and then the next thing you know, the nightmare is now in her brain, and they can talk to each other and speak to each other. He can see like through her eyes what's going on. It's like Venom. If you've ever seen that movie, how like Venom speaks in that guy's mind, they speak to each other. It's like that. And then you find out also that Elspeth is the only person who can save Blunder from the mist. She's trying to cure the mist because she wants to cure the infection and stop having people with the infection being killed off. So that's kind of what you know at the beginning. It's a lot. And then there's a whole lot in this book as well. But it was very good. I loved it. I loved like the concept. I loved the vibes. I loved the eerie, dark undertone of the book. I loved trying to figure out things throughout the book. Like you kind of figure things out before the main girl Elspeth does, and it's just interesting to watch it play out like once you kind of know what's going on. And I really liked it. There's a little bit of romance, but I feel like the romance for me fell a little bit short. I feel like there's so much tension, so much happening, and then when we finally got it, it just fell flat for me personally. I don't know why. I do want to read the second book soon. I feel like I'll really like the second book, so I definitely like it, but not as much as Fourth Wing. I know people were like, at the time, were saying this is like either like this is their favorite book of the year or like Fourth Wing was up there. Personally, I really liked Fourth Wing. I don't think anything will come near it besides like ACOTAR and hopefully Throne of Glass whenever I start that. But this wasn't the same level of Fourth Wing to me personally. But I do see some similarities, and I do think if you like Fourth Wing, you would love this. If you liked this, you'll probably love Fourth Wing. Then for my only 5-star read in October is None Shall Sleep, which actually kind of surprised me. I didn't expect to give this one 5 stars, but I loved it. And it's a thriller. So for thrillers, for me, like you really have to wow me, really entertain me for me to give it a 5-star. I just feel like, yeah, like the ending needs to get me, or it just needs to be super entertaining and I need to be in love with it. I read a lot of thrillers, so I very rarely give out 5 stars. This one had like everything in it that I could ever love and more. Okay, there's not really romance. However, I believe there's crumbs, and I feel like there's going to be romance in the second book. Like, I just feel like it's set up perfectly, and maybe I will be disappointed. I don't know. But I just can see, like, the connection that these two characters have together, and I'm praying, hoping that they fall in love. I can just see it. So, this book is about 2 teenagers, Emma and Belle. Emma is a survivor of a serial killer. She actually escapes one and survives and is the reason he gets arrested. And then Belle is training to be in the Marines, I believe. No. He is a U.S. Marshal candidate, so he's like kind of training for that. And they both kind of have a connection to a serial killer, a different serial killers. And they are recruited by the FBI to interview teenaged serial killers and kind of get an idea of like their psychosis and like their reasoning, and just kind of find out information. They're working for like the behavioral science section of the FBI, kind of to like be able to profile serial killers and like kind of catch them earlier on, like understand their mind basically. And so they're hired by the FBI to conduct these interviews and research previously convicted teenaged serial killers, because they have tried to do the interviews, they've tried to get to know them, get to know something from them, and they like won't talk to adults, so they figure maybe they'll talk to teenagers, more of like their peers in a way. So you're watching that play out, and then at the same time there is an ongoing murder going on a spree, and very quickly Emma and Belle learn about this new serial killer, and they try to like get on the case, and you see them slowly start helping with the ongoing active case. And there's just so much going on in this book. There's so much, like, it's just so entertaining. Like, you see them interviewing serial killers, and then you're learning about the ongoing active case. And then also, like, this book is in third person, so you even get a little glimpse from the actual serial killer's perspective. And I was just so entertained. I think I read this in 2 sittings, and it's pretty long. I was just obsessed with it. And every time we saw Belle and Emma talk to each other, I was like, yes, like, I want there to be a romance there. I just love it. I loved it. And I gave it 5 stars. I was absolutely in love. I need to read the second book soon. I'm praying there's a romance. And if you've read the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, you would like this, I think. They're very, very similar, like with teenagers helping with the FBI trying to solve cases. The only thing is, like, they don't have special abilities, but it's still like very similar in a way. It's just more of like an adult, a little bit darker version. But I do think if you've read that and enjoyed it, then you would like this, and vice versa. They're very similar, and I just really loved it. So 5 stars. Then lastly for October, I read Bunny, which I don't have very many words for this. It's so confusing. That's the main theme, is it's confusing. I also read this like at night until like 1 a.m. So I feel like that definitely made it harder. And also the fact that like reading this book felt like you're trudging through mud to get to the ending, trying to like understand. You're trying to like grasp for straws, gasping for air, like literally, like you're pulling yourself out of something to like get to the end, get air, and then you're just like, what the heck? Like, you still don't understand, then you're trudged back down. That's how this felt. I don't even know if I liked it. Like, I think I did, but it's so confusing. I was left with so many questions. I was left with like a weird, heavy feeling. I think it was trying to end on a lighter note, and like trying to have a lot of themes about like grief and jealousy and how you view yourself, your self-worth. It's like hard to explain, because it's like really you can't, but I'll try. So Samantha is a graduate student. She's in their graduate writing program. I don't know what it's called. Does it actually say? I don't know, but she's a writing student, and she is at university, and in her like little writing class, like I think it's just like her fiction writing class, there's only like her and 4 other students, and the 4 other girls, they're all girls, they are a clique basically, they're all best friends, and they call each other Bunny. And Samantha does not get along with the Bunny. She doesn't think that they're very smart, very good at writing, very creative, and she thinks they're just so cliquey. But then one day the Bunnies invite her to their little smut salon. That's literally what it's called. And it's like this little party that they all 4 do together, and they invite her, and she finds out what they do at these little parties, and it's literally crazy. And then she slowly starts like becoming involved with the clique, like losing her own identity, losing her past friendships, like her best friend Ava, and just slowly morphing into the Bunnies and in that life and that lifestyle. And it's literally insane. Like, half the time I don't know what is true and what's not. I think a lot of it is like, I don't know truly still to this day if it's supposed to be like true and it's all like fictionalized, or if it's supposed to be all a metaphor. I still don't know. I've seen reviews for both, and I think it really depends on like what you want to believe. But it's just too much for me. Like, I'd rather just tell me. Like, tell me if it's all real and I need to believe it, or just like make it be so clear that it's fictional. Because it like takes place in like a real life situation, like in university, in a world that we know. So it's like, is it supposed to be a metaphor. I don't know. If you have any thoughts and opinions on this book, please let me know, because I'd love to talk about it. Just be warned, if you read this book, it's crazy and it's dark and it's kind of twisted and weird. And I don't know. I just have so many questions, and my brain literally hurts thinking about this book. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. Like, it was good. I was entertained, but I was confused, and I don't really know. I don't want to think about it for a little bit because it's confusing me. Okay, well, those are all the books that I read in October. I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant about all these books. If you've read any of them, please let me know your thoughts and opinions, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very, very soon in my next video.